Have you ever wondered what it truly means to own everything, yet feel empty inside? And what it feels like to own nothing at all, yet carry a heart richer than gold? Sometimes, the greatest stories aren't written in books or sung in songs. They are whispered quietly in the silence of pain, in the cracks of broken hearts, and in the moments where kindness changes everything. This is the story of a boy who owned nothing and a girl who had everything. His name was Ethan Gracewood, a boy no older than 12 with torn shoes, dusty hair, and eyes that held more questions than answers. He lived in the forgotten corners of the city, where the streetlights flickered and the nights were colder than the blankets he never had. Ethan didn't know what it felt like to wake up in a warm bed, to smell breakfast cooking in the kitchen, or to be called to school with a backpack full of books. Instead, he woke to the sounds of traffic, the taste of hunger, and the silent weight of being invisible in a world that rushed past him. He sold little things on the street: paper flowers, old newspapers, sometimes bottles of water. Not because he wanted to, but because survival doesn't give choices. And yet, in his eyes there lived a strange kind of light. A light that said, "I may have nothing, but my soul still dreams." Afar across the city, in a mansion with gates taller than trees, lived Isabella Hartwell. Isabella was 15, the daughter of one of the wealthiest businessmen in the state. Her life was painted in gold. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, closets filled with dresses she'd only worn once. A private school, chauffeurs, vacations abroad. On the outside, Isabella had everything. But inside her heart told a different story. She lived in a house full of staff, but empty of love. Her parents were always busy. Meetings, flights, deals, endless calls. And though her table was filled with food, her soul starved for attention. Isabella knew the silence of loneliness, even in the middle of laughter. She knew the ache of wanting to be seen, even when everyone's eyes were on her. 2 lives, one in poverty, one in abundance. And yet, both carried the same hunger, the hunger to be loved. Ethan's days were battles. Some days people would buy his paper flowers out of pity. Other days they walked past as if he didn't exist. He learned to ignore the sting of rejection, but at night, when the city slept, his tears didn't. He whispered prayers to a God he wasn't sure was listening. "Lord, if you see me, please, don't let me disappear." But the days grew colder, and the hunger sharper, and hope dimmer. Isabella's struggle was quieter, but no less painful. Every morning, a maid laid out her uniform. Every evening, a chef prepared her dinner. But what Isabella wanted most was someone to sit with her, to ask her about her day, to listen, to care. She was surrounded by diamonds, but her heart felt like glass, fragile, breakable, unseen. One evening, after yet another lonely dinner, Isabella decided to take a walk outside the mansion gates. She wanted to feel life, not through the glass windows of her father's car, but on the streets where people lived, breathed, and struggled. And that's when her path crossed Ethan's. Ethan was sitting on the curbside that evening, clutching the last paper flower he hadn't been able to sell. His stomach hurt from hunger. But more than that, his heart hurt from invisibility. Isabella noticed him. At first she almost walked past, like everyone else did, but something about his eyes made her stop. Those eyes didn't beg for pity. They carried dignity and a silent question. "Can you see me?" Isabella stepped closer. "What's that in your hand?" she asked softly. Ethan looked up, surprised someone had spoken to him. "It's a flower," he whispered. "I made it from old paper. But no one wants it." Isabella held out her hand. "I do." He placed the fragile paper flower in her palm, and for the first time in a long time, he smiled. Isabella reached into her pocket, but then she paused. She realized this wasn't about money. This was about kindness. So instead of handing him coins, she sat beside him on the curb. "What's your name?" "Ethan," he replied. "What's yours?" "Isabella." And that night, under the dim streetlight, a girl who had everything, and a boy who had nothing, found what they were both searching for. Not wealth, not possessions, but connection. Days turned into weeks, and every evening, Isabella found herself walking outside the gates, not to escape her world, but to enter Ethan's. She brought him food. He told her stories of survival. She shared secrets of loneliness. He shared prayers of hope. They were two halves of a broken world. But together, they made each other whole. And then one day, Isabella did something that changed Ethan's life forever. She didn't just give him food, or money, or clothes. She gave him dignity. She told her father about Ethan, and for the first time, someone powerful listened. Her father arranged schooling for Ethan. A shelter. A chance. And slowly, the boy who owned nothing began to build a future. But here's the truth. Ethan wasn't the only one transformed. Isabella discovered something no mansion, no diamond, no fortune could ever give: the joy of kindness. The power of empathy. The beauty of being human. Because sometimes the richest hearts are found in the poorest lives. And sometimes the ones who own everything are still waiting for love. It wasn't wealth that changed their lives. It was a simple act of kindness between a boy who owned nothing and a girl who had everything.